Alright, hopefully everybody can hear me. I did a little bit of a test earlier today, so fingers crossed this is working, but just hit me up in the chat if you can or can't hear me. Just give this a second here. See, oh, perfect. For some reason, my monitoring thing went away. All right, excellent. Thanks so much, Line Type. Excellent. Well, yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. I presume there'll be more people kind of popping in as we go here, but since I am full screen and this was mentioned in Elena's chat, we do have the dumpster fire here, so there's the little thing we were talking about earlier. It's been my favorite little gadget to have on my desk. But what we can do, let's pop over. I have a fancy remote here. Excellent. All right, so I've been working on kind of a fun project over the last few weeks. Originally, I was going to do all of this in the Fontathon stream, and then I got excited and started drawing letters. So, as you can see from the background, there's been a bit of progress on this. But where this all stems from is a soap dish that I found. I think this was in Flickr, probably Flickr that I found it in. And I was just taken back by these letters. It's kind of got like this nice Art Deco sort of feel going on. I can probably even just make this a little bit larger on screen here. And I think this is just like a soap dish for like World War II, World War I soldiers, something like that. But I just really loved these letter forms, so that's what we're kind of going with today. Just kind of a quick, I guess, background as to what I've done so far. So I've gone through, obviously the word soap has been created, but I've just been going through and trying to sort out a lot of these other letters here, and some of them have been pretty easy and straightforward, and others, not so much. Actually, I just noticed I have an extra one there, which I don't even think I need that one, but let's see here. We'll remove that one. Oops. And Glyphs crashes. We're off to a good start. Let's try this again. It's not a live stream unless Glyphs crashes, right? All right, there we go. That popped up quicker than I thought it would. Okay, so we'll go back here, and I guess maybe we aren't going to. I'm going to try this one more time. We're going to chance it. I want to remove it. There we go. Okay, now it's behaving. So, anyway, this is basically where I'm at. So, yeah, a logo type word mark. That's kind of my intent with this. Obviously, we aren't going to be setting body copy in it. Typically, I've been doing a lot of body like typefaces lately. So this has just kind of felt like a nice break from that. But I think what I'm going to do, I think we're just going to jump in probably, because I don't know where else to really start or what else to say about this. And I guess fortunately, unfortunately, I have a lot of the tricky letters left. I've kind of been playing with the numbers too. The number 2 and the number 5 I'm not super happy with yet. But maybe at some point we'll get there. So I think what we'll do, I'm just going to jump over to the K. So it seems like there's kind of a, I don't know if we want to call this like a design language already. But I was kind of feeling like the K could be something like this. There we go. And we'll just kind of make all this work. I don't know if it's going to be as easy as just doing something like that. I kind of think there needs to be a little bit more separation here between the R and the K. I was debating if I make this more like an angled thing, which is something that I've got to figure out for the a letter like the X anyway. So yeah, it's the angled letters that are going to be fun. I feel like I kind of got away with it a little bit on the N and even the Z because that's kind of where the heavy weight of that was. I don't know if I can get away with that so much here. So I think what we're going to do, I'm just going to make, yeah, we'll make a layer of this for now. And then maybe see if we experiment with this a little bit. What's the worst that could happen, right? I'm going to do that. We'll just kind of copy it and do it this way. So if we connect these two nodes and we connect those two nodes, it's a little bit thick. But maybe something like that could be okay. And I really, let's see, what have I been using for my side bearings here? I was using O. The nice part about this is I don't think I really have to kern it with much difficulty. It's probably going to take care of a lot of that for me. I just kind of wonder if something like that, just enough to make a connection, but not make it overbearing. I also did not set side bearings here, so, or sorry, not side bearings. I usually use my dimensions panel palette, and I haven't used that. I don't know. That could look kind of fun if I type out the word rock. Maybe I just kind of lean into that kind of shape going on there. The other thing too is that I'm not going to be using this for like, or I'm not going to be designing lowercase with this. It'll be primarily uppercase just because of the shape. The other thing that I'm considering too is like, oops, if I were to use this vertically, I think this could be kind of fun. Like if it was like on the sign, a sign like on a building or whatever. I think you see them on like movie theater signs where you can type vertically instead of horizontally. But yeah, maybe I stick with something like that for the K. It's just so interesting because we've got, this thick shape over here, and then the other side just has to do so much work in a tiny amount of space. I think that's kind of what makes the challenge a little bit of fun. So, yeah, go with that. Let's type. Sent you something on Instagram. Perfect. I will probably check after this stream. So, unfortunately, I've got two computers going on here, but I have like, it's not dual monitors, so I can't jump over very easily, but we'll sort that out. Make sure my side bearings are correct. One other thing I'll point out here, if anybody's not familiar, the lowercase letters down here are synced to display whatever the uppercase are, so you probably noticed like I did the K here and it auto-populated there. If anybody's new and watching and they don't know what this is about, basically what you can do in Glyphs is, I guess I have all the main letters, but if I were to say something, for example, like A equals A and generate this, it automatically creates, in this case, a lowercase letter with a placeholder for the uppercase equivalent. And it doesn't necessarily need to be like A equals A. It could be like A equals B too. It's an option, but I kind of like it when I'm doing, like an all uppercase font. Then that way you don't have to copy back and forth. You don't have to worry about, side bearings or which letter is up to date or not up to date or anything like that. It's kind of nice to do. So, moving on, because this has kind of an Art Deco feel to it, we're going to kind of roll with an idea that I had. And also because this kind of tends to have a low waistline, I guess. Maybe I bring in something like the E to kind of help out with this. So what my idea was maybe something like that. I think, is my units 10? I need to go see what I did here. Yeah. I'm actually going to switch this over to 5 and 20. That's usually my preferred settings under font info. But I'm not exactly sure that I want to do that way, so maybe we go 10 and just kind of narrow that up a little bit. I think something like that could look sort of nice. If we do this in context, happy, yes, papaya, throw it between some letters. It's not too bad. Let's see here. For some reason, I can't get that to drag either. I think I could be okay with this, though. And if anybody has any thoughts or advice on this, feel free to jump in chat and let me know. To be honest, I kind of raced through this just a good amount when I originally created all these characters. So I'm sure I'm missing things or things could be improved. But I think it's serviceable. I mean, the nice part about a display face too is that I feel like you can get away with more. I don't know how else to really say it. It's not like a text face where you might have to be a little bit more thoughtful with all the different bits and pieces of a letter form. So, and maybe that's kind of why I don't really go for display type as much. I don't know. I guess I kind of enjoy the challenge of body copy, but I encourage everybody, like if you do display type, try a body face, a body text face. If you do body text a lot, draw a display face. It's kind of fun to just exercise your creative muscles in a different way. All right. I think for the X, I'm going to attempt an idea that I had, and I have no idea if this is even going to be a good one, but we're going to try it and see what happens. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're just going to kind of use bits and pieces of the V. And this isn't probably the best or smartest way to do it, but it's going to be the way I'm going to do it here. And let's just connect these 2 points to close the shape out. I think, yep, there we go. So it snaps there. So kind of what I'm thinking is to take and do, let's do it this way first. I'm going to trim it about there and hope that isn't too short. But the idea was that I could take one here and one here. Now I've got to work with the angle a little bit on this. We're going to have to sort that out, and I hope I don't end up making this too wide. I think the idea is that it's going to kind of have the thick stroke kind of, take up most of the space from the upper left to the bottom right, and then hopefully those 2 arms on either side of it basically are going to be enough to have somebody go, oh yeah, that's an X. So, the 3 at the top could be sharp. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of debating that on the 3. I was looking at a bunch of different 3s, trying to figure out what I wanted to do with that. But that's definitely a good idea, I think. So let's take a look here. That's roughly 245. That's 230. And that's probably, yeah, sticking out a bit much. So now the fun in games begins now, where I need to like figure out how far do I push this out. So I could do a 20 unit, I guess, kind of gap there. Maybe 20 units too much though. Maybe we go more like 10. That's up to 5. That goes to 10. I'm going to be shocked if I... Okay, well that's 200 units there, 230 there. But I wonder if that is okay. I wonder if that's okay. And also let's throw... Oops. OOXOO. For now, I'm just going to use the O side bearings. And then I guess we'll use HHXHH. And then we can try and figure out if this looks too wide or not. I don't think it does. High contrast sans serif day. Yeah. It's all the rage right now, right, Alana? Yeah. I was enjoying watching your stream a little bit earlier, and I was noticing that too, and I was like, "Yep, we're all onto something." And I think too, there was a couple other folks working on like high contrast serif typefaces. I think I saw that earlier in the day too. So it's kind of funny how great minds think alike is how I'm gonna frame that. But this is like very high contrast. This might even be like the most high contrast typeface I think I've ever worked on. I don't even think I've... Yeah, even off the top of my head, I don't think I can remember something that I've worked on that's had more than this. So it's definitely throwing me for a loop, that's for sure. Let's see here. So that does... Can I do that? Maybe we'll at least get these lines even. So that's 452 on both of those. I need to think of where I can't do exclaim. Exclude. Yep, I can do that. Can I do xylophone? Xylophone. Yep, I can do that. I don't know a ton of X words, so this is kind of it's kind of a challenge to do this. Super chunky. Yes, I love the chunk on this. I've been having a lot of fun with this one. I'm actually, I'm not gonna lie, I might actually have to go find this soap dish that this is being modeled after. But the funny part is like, I think, so like, I saw somebody, make a mention that this was kind of like an Art Deco-y type thing, which I absolutely love. And I feel like I'm going crazy because for like years, xylophone, yes, I spelled that wrong. I cannot type. But I feel for years I've been like listening to people say that, Art Deco was like going to come back in or make a comeback or whatever. And maybe it did, and I just missed it. Or maybe it hasn't yet, and I'm just ahead of the trend. I don't know. A soap dish. Yes. Oh, and before I forget, well, here, I've got too many things at once here. So there's the soap dish for you. And apparently this was like from World War II or something like that. And apparently this was like a 2-half thing where like if you like pry it apart or whatever, there'd be soap in there. But what I was gonna say is while we're here, the the Magic Dumpster Fire. There you go. So that's just for you. Now you know what we're referencing when we talk about dumpster fires. It's really cute. I like it. So yeah. But I've been having fun with this. Like I'm almost more excited for the mock-ups that I do to show this off when I'm done with it than I am even designing the font itself. So we'll have to see what that looks like. Maybe that's part of the stream tomorrow if I finish this to some levels. We can maybe play around with it in Photoshop or something and get away from glyphs just a tiny bit and just kind of see how this works in context or in situ. So, all right. I'm feeling pretty good about the X. I think this is one of those projects too where I'm just going to like keep coming back to things. Like I'll probably log off the stream at some point tonight and then, you know, spend way more time kind of nitpicking at things. For the W, I had two trains of thought on this, and I'm open to everybody's input. Part of me thought about making something like that work, which does make it a little wide. But the other thing is if I do something like that, do I do the same with the M? So there's kind of I guess kind of a relation between the two. Obviously those are too wide. They're like a double wide character. We don't want that, but I'd probably have to narrow them up. Or the other thought was to kind of go grab it this way, was to kind of work off of the N, at least for the M, I should say, and just try and make something work where it's a little bit narrow, but it's straight up and down. My inclination is to go with the first option, only because I don't do that too often. So that's kind of what my original thing was, and I'm thinking like you'd probably see like MA or MO, maybe ME. Just thinking of like English words and kind of how you would see this written out. MU is probably just all of the vowels, I'm sure. And I guess as I'm talking this out, I'm kind of thinking I'm just going to attempt that. So, unless somebody in chat has a different idea. So the trick, if I go this route, is how do I make that narrower? That is going to be the question. Because I don't think I can narrow up the narrow side much more. Part of my thought was doing something like this. Just scooching that over. I'm worried something like this would look too anemic, I guess. But the width feels about right. Actually, it's probably even still a little too wide. I wonder if we back it off something like that. We move that in 10. And I got to think this out here. Or I just do a cursed kind of condension like that. And then maybe I just add weight to these strokes. Being too wide. Let's see. I get very bothered by things being too wide when I get to a chunky W in my designs. Harder than drawing. Yes, harder than the Danger Noodle. If you missed Alana's stream a little bit earlier, we were talking about NS being a Danger Noodle. And I stand by that. I think they are. I keep thinking about the t-shirt thing with that too, by the way. The more I think about it, the more I think this needs to happen. Or maybe I do hoodies or something. I don't know. I'm a hoodie person, as you probably can tell. But yeah, let's trim those just a touch. Oops, I don't want my macro window. I want... Oh, that is... Oh, I might have to come up with some new spacing strings here. The other thing is this looks like really high-waisted. Kind of like turn of the century boxer, kind of high-waisted. What can we do about that? Like right now I feel this W would have the, what was it called? The transatlantic accent? The Danger Noodle t-shirt, yes. All needs to move here. I think it's kind of got to go like that. Or do I just kind of close it in this way, maybe? Ooh. Or... Ancient Noodle t-shirt. I think Ancient Noodles would be like a Trajan S, probably. I don't know if Garamond is too new to be an Ancient Noodle. That might be like a... what would that be? Like a mid-millennia Danger Noodle? Maybe there's like classifications of Danger Noodle and we just don't know this yet. I should also say too, like I've heard like snakes being referred to as Danger Noodles, like in hiking forms and whatnot, so I probably should give some credit where that's due, and that's where the phrase is coming from, and I'm just like co-opting it for type designers, so assuming everybody's okay with that, like, you know, we'll just roll with it. Let's see. That just kind of feels weird now. And I think it's because of this here, where it's starting to feel thick. But then it's kind of feeling unbalanced too. Oops. Maybe I do have to kind of go back to this way of doing it. What if we just made it really narrow? And we'll just kind of drop that down a little bit more. I think that might have to trim off a little bit. Now I feel like I'm getting too narrow. I mean, that's okay if it's getting too narrow, because that probably means that there's somewhere in between here where this actually works. Optimistically. Or maybe I just go this way and do it and just kind of own that I'm stretching it. That's not bad. Or am I just, maybe I'm just talking myself into this, who knows? Let's take that out of, oh, maybe not. It's such a small little detail, but I feel like it kind of helps with how this stands up. Maybe something like that. I don't know, what are we thinking, chat? It's a nice width. Yeah, I think I have the width. I don't think I have... At least I'm not convinced I have this all the way there yet. That is 102.9. That is 78. And I don't know what that means. 140, 160. That's 145. Is that balanced a little better? I don't feel like it is. And now I'm noticing this is kind of dropped down. Double check that the thin parts don't thicken up too much. Yeah. Yeah, they're fighting a little bit. They're putting up a battle here. Let's see. That's 336. That's 336. That's 264. That's 263. I'm going to make that 264 so I feel better about myself. Then I think this is going to be a matter of figuring out how do we drop that down. Can I get by with that? Sort of. Actually, I'm kind of wondering. Maybe that starts to stand up a little bit better. Yeah. So these 2 points, they either are close or they're spot on. Close enough that I would imagine even the most discerning eye probably isn't going to notice that. Oops. But I don't think that's terrible. Yeah. I'm also just kind of torn on this little triangle that's hanging out here. I might be inclined just to kind of take it out of there, and maybe that's okay. I don't, actually, now that I look at this, I don't think that's too terrible. Now I'm kind of curious, after doing all this. Does this have any hope of working as an M? So if I wrote month. And actually, let's check this too. I think, oh, I did have a side bearing set up. The tough part about doing this kind of so haphazardly is I don't remember where all of my side bearing shortcuts are. Evolve. Obviously the V and the L will probably need to be kerned. I don't know, I'm having second thoughts now about the M not having straight sides there. Looking great. That was my break, so heading back over to my stream to do some lowercase. Catch you later. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for stopping by. That was great. And if you haven't checked out Alana's channel yet, please go and do so. We were having a lot of fun a little bit earlier this afternoon, and she's been much better at scheduling times when she's going to be streaming than I have this Fontathon. I have pretty much been running around in the background trying to keep the Fontathon social media up to date, if we're being completely honest. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun. So, and not just her, but like everybody else too. We've had a lot of really amazing people streaming this weekend. So make sure you are checking everybody out. If you go to Fontathon on Instagram, that's probably easier than me trying to remember on a live stream everybody, because I feel like inevitably I would forget somebody, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. All right. So let's sort out this M. We'll grab this for the N. There we go. And then we'll get this put together. Just realized I probably could have grabbed that off something else. So loosely what I'm thinking here is that this is enough to kind of hang on and make the shape that I need. And then we'll just kind of scooch that in. And just kind of see where we land on this. Maybe we just kind of even that one out a little bit more. Bring that in. That's at 67, that's at 62. I think we can kind of take some weight out of there. Yeah, I like the straight side M a bit more. If we were to type a word like mammoth, that kind of looks fun. Do we have kind of the same level of chunk as everything else? We're just going to take some weight off. Yeah. I'm just curious if this is willing to exist with a little bit less weight. It might be. I might be okay with that. And I feel like it kind of matches the W a little bit better too. So, yeah, I think we might roll with that for a little bit. How does that compare to the W? Not too far off. I'm going to just get a little bold here. Let's see. So 60 should be my unit measure for that. That's 64. So let's just bump this back and get these side bearings correct. I don't think it's the end of the world if it goes a little bit wider, to be honest. It feels like it kind of syncs up with the W a little bit better. If I go back to this view, yeah, I think we're in a better place with this. It kind of looks like how I would expect. And honestly, too, looking at the whole alphabet, I think it kind of jives with everybody here. The only one I'm still questioning, and I'm open to chat's thoughts on this, is the Q, actually. So I've kind of been at a loss for what to do with the Q. It kind of feels like a lowercase q right now in some sense, and that's okay. But I don't feel it's doing enough either. And I was debating about like putting like a tail on this or something, or something like fancy and kind of ribbony. Maybe something that like goes under the U a little bit. But I don't know if that's it. Did I save? Yeah, I do have. So I went this way too. But again, it's kind of the same issue where I don't feel like this little nub here is doing enough. It's like such a chunky letter. Like I'm putting so much on one little piece of this. And I was kind of thinking too, like the Y here, where I kind of have this chunk kind of coming down like so. That was another thought. I think I might play with this, and we'll just kind of see where this goes, because truthfully, I just haven't been happy with it. But this was kind of the other idea. I guess we'll go this way, since it doesn't want to cooperate. Actually, let's reverse that one, go that way. Because I'm looking at this in context to the P, the O. I think this is primarily the O that it's got to have enough separation from. I was kind of hoping that, if you're using this and you were typing out a word like queen or quiet or something like that, there might be enough context with the rest of the word to go, oh, it's a Q. But the same could be argued if you were, typing out the word like out, for example, which I guess you would never really spell that Q-U-T, but I was kind of hoping that at a glance this would be like a little bit more obvious, where you'd go, oh yeah, that's exactly what that is. So that's kind of the challenge right now, is just figuring out how this might go. And just maybe do that for the moment. One other thing that I have tried, I guess we'll take a look again, is doing something like this. But I'm not exactly sure that is what I wanted either. But I guess the plus side is it makes it pretty obvious, I guess. Maybe I need to revisit that. I guess I was just thinking from far away. But I might have been overthinking this too. Actually, now that I'm seeing this, let's try something experimental. What if we were to do maybe something like, what is it, OCR, I think is the name of the typeface. So that's 48. We'll just make that an even 50. Tell you what, let's take a quick field trip. We are not going to update my browser right now on the live stream. But let's take a look here and see if we can find an alphabet. So I guess this kind of uses a tail and it angles it. That's not really what I would like to do. I was kind of hoping to see something revolutionary with it, but I guess that was the first one that popped into my head, and it's not exactly like I thought it would be. Of course, it also doesn't need to do the kind of heavy lifting like I needed to do as well, so maybe that's not it. Maybe we go back to this for the time being. And then I'm just going to take a look real quick here. That's 311. We just make that an even 300 units. And then I'm not going to be afraid to drop this down just a bit more. Oops. So if we had a word like equity or quantum, like quantum physics, but then if we had a word like count, okay, I might be talking myself into this now. Maybe this was just a matter of overthinking it when I originally drew it. Yeah, and even in context, looking at the rest of the alphabet, let's see here. I'm going to attempt to run Wordomat. Sometimes this likes to crash glyphs, so I guess we'll find out if it gets stage fright or not being on a live stream. And I'm kind of leaning towards the stage fright option here. Although I guess at this point it really doesn't matter to use Wordomat or not because I have the full alphabet. Yeah. I think this is going to be crashing glyphs on me. That is okay. So what we'll do here is just do a quick restart. I'm pretty sure too this has something to do with like my version of Python or something that I have installed because I like to be weird like that. But we'll hop back into this here. And really what I need is just like a list of words, which I'm trying to think. Actually here, let's we'll go back to my face on screen here while I try and find something. I did have a list of some letters somewhere. So let's see if we can find anything here. Here we go. So, jump back. A huge shout out to my friend Chris, Tall Polly on Instagram. Hopefully he doesn't mind me shouting out his Instagram handle. But he's also a type designer as well. A former Type West grad too, so always fun to see folks like that. But let's see, I have to remember. Maybe I don't have this anymore. Well, I can kind of work with this, I think, a little bit, although these are a lot of words. I guess we could kind of scroll through them a little bit. So these are really going to kind of put things to the test. We'll see how well this works. And I'm not even sure like how many of these are English or anything like that, so we'll just kind of roll with this. But if I'm thinking about this from the context of it being a logo, being a headline, a single word, that kind of thing, like I think there's some latitude for some creativity here with the letter forms. Like I don't know how to pronounce this word, SYZYGY. It seems like a Web 3.0 startup kind of company or something like that. Maybe that's what this is used for. Who knows? But even things, like university, government, employment, breakfast, buddy, these seem to be okay with how they look. Exhibition, we get the X in there, which is kind of nice. Subscribe, which I promise I didn't put that in there by accident or on purpose or anything like that. That was purely coincidental, but childhood, aerospace. I was just kind of hoping I could quickly find a Q word in here. Yeah, here we go. Equipment. So I guess it does kind of hold up fairly well. And again, for a short burst of text, I think that's fine. Bankruptcy. The K kind of works there. Awkward, which I guess also describes the spacing between the A and the W there. There definitely need to be some kerning for that. Rendezvous, that kind of looks like a fun word in this. Flaxseed, not too terrible. Maximum. I do kind of like how maximum looks in this. Halfpenny. Linchpin. Copyright. Okay, so I think a lot of these are working fairly well. When you kind of go along with the, I guess kind of the feel of this or the texture of this typeface, it starts to kind of get a little bit fun. I think like something like DW, obviously that needs to get corrected a little bit. But yeah, you can get some nice texture with different words in this font, and I think that's what's going to make it kind of fun for people to work with. Especially like if it's on like the side of a jar or product packaging or something like that. I think this could be a lot of fun to work with. So yeah, maybe tomorrow we hop into something like Photoshop. I do have a few mock-ups that I can work with, and maybe we design a label or something like that with this, and I think that could be a lot of fun. Yeah, comfort movie. So, and I will say this is a little bit different than how I normally proof a typeface. Typically I'm putting this in like, blocks of copy and really kind of pushing it to its limit, but I think for this case it's looking pretty decent. Logjam's kind of fun. I don't think you see the GJ combo too often. That's a space there, nothing to worry about. Okay. So I'd say that was a pretty solid test. And I guess what this kind of leaves is just the numbers then. And I think this is kind of where Lion's type was talking a little bit earlier. I know we said it somewhere, the 3, a sharp top to the 3. Yeah, so I think the 3 is going to be kind of a fun one to dissect and figure out what I need to do. I was kind of thinking of maybe basing it even a little bit off like the B or something like that. At some point, I'm probably going to work in some basic punctuation as well. I think that's going to be a fun challenge. Don't ask me why I was thinking about the ampersand. That one's probably going to offer some spice in this process, but I think it's in a fairly decent place. And again, if I just kind of go back and put this, next to my reference image here, and even type out the word soap. We'll zoom in on this a little bit. Maybe we can get a nice side-by-side. And to be fair, I have taken some liberty of, adjusting the letter forms and whatnot, because obviously this wasn't, a straight-on photo, but I think as I was kind of playing around with it a little bit, it seems to definitely have the same vibe or the same characters what the original reference looks like. There are things I did here where it's like the S, I took just a little bit more out here compared to, the S there. I think the A is actually opened up a little bit more too. Even the negative space here, I think got just a touch wider, perhaps. But I think that's okay. I think the challenge here is like if I was going to be pressing this into metal, my hunch would be that this would kind of close up a little bit because you'd kind of have that curve, if there's a technical term for it, I guess the emboss of the letter. In my case here, I'm thinking ahead to you might use this on a screen or maybe it's a sign or something. It's not really a business name. I'm probably not the greatest at coming up with the business names on the spot. But yeah, this is... maybe it's just a company called The National, who knows. But I think it could be fun. You get like a nice container around this. If this is like on a sign outside, like you've got like the doors of the business or something underneath. I think it could just really like, it could look like a lot of fun, especially if you get like one of those old like mid-century buildings or something like that, or even Art Deco buildings, I probably should say. I think something like this could fit in really, really well with that. So that's kind of what I'm envisioning. Who knows? Maybe it's like a diner font or something. I don't know. Or maybe it's a coffee shop. I don't know if there's such a place, but yeah, it's something fun, something unique. So I think for now, I'm fairly reasonable with kind of where this alphabet has made it to. We will take a look at the 3, 4, 8, probably the 2 and 5 as well. As far as the other numbers go, like the 0, 1, 6, and 9, I'm fairly happy with those. I do have a little bit of pause about the 0 and the O as it currently stands. I promise I'm typing in two different things here, but maybe there is some difference between the two of these. I don't know that I want to do a slashed O because I don't think that's gonna work well enough, but maybe there's something I can consider to give that a little bit more separation between these two. But I do like that everything kind of stays the same height as well. If I do something like that, and even like the 6 and the G, is another example. Like I think there's enough difference between those two. Like if you were gonna type a number like we'll do all 5s. I guess I don't have a dash. But 7, 1. I'm just making up a number here. Do I have a 4? No, I don't have a 4. But yeah, if I look at something like that, is there enough context there? Is things working? There's something about the 5 and the 2 that just isn't there for me yet, that I think I still need to sort out. But even like the 2, like compare the 2 to the Z, I think this Z is a bit more successful than that too. So that's probably something I got to take a look at. And then of course I've also got the rounded corner here versus the chamfer on the letter. I guess I did it on the 7 too. So I think those are things that I probably have to sort out. But yeah, I would say overall this is looking pretty decent. Just check the chat real quick. Yeah, looks like the chat quieted down, but that's okay. So hopefully everyone had a little bit of fun. My goal, I guess, for this round was only about an hour, so I guess my spiel for today will be, if you are designing a font, maybe you aren't streaming this weekend, that's okay. Be sure to tag #Fontathon 2024 on Instagram. I'm doing my best to try and repost through the stories different people who are participating, and I've seen a lot of cool stuff, not only from our creators, our featured creators, but from others as well, other designers. So it's been fun to see people kind of kick off their own projects. And then just a note as well that @Fontathon on Instagram is where we're currently posting everybody's streaming schedules. A lot of people have been really good about, just putting together a schedule ahead of time, and then there's people that I'm, calling myself out mostly, that are kind of winging this a little bit more. So hopefully I can get a few more stream times in before the end of Fontathon. But as I do, or as there's any changes, I'll be sure to go ahead and update that, so make sure you're following along there. So with that, I think we're going to call an end on this one, and thanks everybody for tuning in.